I'm going to write a script which counts from 1 to 5. I know we've done this before. It's not a big deal, except this time, instead of just using a repeat block, I'm going to use a repeat until block. I found the repeat until block underneath the control blocks. You've been here before. There's repeat. You've used this. You've probably used forever. Down here, there's also a repeat until block. So I'm going to count from 1 to 5. Notice I made a variable called count. I'm beginning it at 1 because, hey, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. And I'm going to keep repeating, and I'll go under operators. I'm going to keep repeating until I get up to 5. Again, because I want to count from 1 to 5. So notice this little repeat until has these little pointy little ends right here. That means it takes blocks that have these little pointy ends. So typically you'll use these blocks right here. I'm going to repeat until count gets up to 5. So here I'll put count. Again, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. Did you remember that part? Yes, I'm counting from 1 to 5. So inside of my repeat, I'm going to put a couple of things. I'm going to have it say whatever the current count is. It's going to say the count. I'll have it do it for just half a second. Now, of course, if I run it right now, well, let's see what happens. It's going to say 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 forever because, hey, that's what count is. It's 1. And it keeps repeating until count is 5, but I'm not increasing count. So somehow I have to increase count, and I think you know how to do that already. A couple of ways to do it. Oops. Underneath variables, I could either change count by some value. I could change it by 1 if I want to count by 1s. I could change it by anything. I could change it by 2s if I want to count by 2s. I could change it by -1s, but I'm just going to count by 1. You also know that you can use the set. I could set count to count plus something, but let's not worry about that. We're just going to use change right now. So I'm going to count from 1 to 5. I'm going to say count. I'm going to change count by 1. So is this going to work? Am I going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Did you say yes? Well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you notice it stopped at 4? The reason it stopped at 4 is because this says repeat until count equals 5. So let's think about what happens the last time through the loop. It says count, so let's say it says 4. It changes count by 1, so count is now 5. This thing says repeat until it's 5. So if I want it to actually say 5, I better repeat until it gets greater than 5. So I'm going to just change this equal to a greater than. This is subtle. Think about what's going on here. I want it to actually say 5, and then it's going to change count, in this case, 1 greater than 5, which is 6. Now count is greater than 5, it's no longer going to repeat. So let's run this one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great, counts from 1 to 5. Terrific. I'm going to do a couple more tiny subtle things, and let's see if we can figure out what's going to happen. I'm going to move the change in front of the say. So now it's going to change count by 1 first, and then it's going to say count. Now let's see what happens if I run this. Interesting. Now it counts from 2 to 6. Well, think about why that's happening. Count is 1. It changes it by 1. So the first number it says is actually 2. It changes it first, and then it says 2. Keeps going till it gets greater than 5. So it keeps changing and then saying. So the last time through, let's think about what happened. Count is, let's say, equal to 5. It's not greater than 5. It's equal to 5. It changes it by 1. It says count, which is now 6. It's now greater than 5, so it no longer repeats. So I know this is subtle, and I'm saying it quickly, but really give it some thought. What happens if you change the order of these? And actually, if you want to, we could actually make it count from 1 to 5 by putting the change first. Think about what I would have to do to have it count from 1 to 5 now. Well, if I wanted to count from 1 to 5, I'd have to start the count at 0, and this time I'm going to go up until count is equal to 5. Let's see what happens now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Terrific. So it counts from 1 to 5. Of course, you know things that you could do differently. I could maybe have it count down if I want. Oh, let's have it count down. Why not? So much fun. I'm going to have it count down from 5 to 1. So I could start the count at 5, keep going until count gets down to 1. Now think about that. Is that going to work? I want it to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Should I keep going until count equals 1? Let's give it a try. 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, it didn't say 1. And of course, the reason it didn't say 1 is because it said 2. Then it changed count by 1. So count equals 1. And this says repeat until it's 1. So if I wanted to actually say 1, I better keep going until it gets less than 1. Now it should go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So let's give it one more try. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Terrific. So play around with this repeat until. It's a little tricky, and you'll really have to think about what's going on. It's very easy to be off by 1 when you count. So you really have to think about what's happening here. All right. I hope you have fun playing around with repeat until.